Hello, everybody. Hello. Happy Friday, y'all. And today is the 24th of June already. Hello, everybody. Today we're going to be doing block 5 of All the Things. It's the primitive star block. Should be a relatively simple block no matter how you make it. Hello, everybody. Hello. I want to start off by saying happy birthday, Wanda. I hope you have a fantastic birthday. And shout out to my moderators today. Let's see, we have Sylvia, Sherry, and Dari so far. Any moderators coming in after that? Thank y'all so much. Sherry, I understand you're probably working, but I appreciate you hanging out with me while you're working. Hello, everybody. And before we get started, I just want to remind you, if you're on Patreon, come hang out with us Sunday. We're going to be doing the quilt retreat from 2 to 8 p.m. Hello, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Come on in. If you're watching on the replay, feel free to skip around. If you have questions, you can jump down into the comments section. Let's switch over and take a look at my bigger block of block 5. All right, so here's the pattern. This is a free PDF, y'all. It's down in the description box. The primitive star. That's what we're making in today's video, okay? If you want the alternative block, this is mine. I made it into the mini quilt. I'm doing mini quilts for all of my bigger blocks. And y'all, I had a lot of fun. I'm going to try to hold this up close, but I know it's really focused for the cutting mat, okay? But check that out. If you haven't seen the video I did on the lattice stitch, you might want to check that out. I did the lattice stitch by hand, and then I did a chain stitch around the star after I did my lattice stitch. And then for my bigger outside portion of the star, I did a blanket stitch by hand. But I did it with varied lengths. And I used a thread that kind of blends in. You might be able to see that a little bit. But some of the stitches are long, some of them are short. And for me, that takes the pressure away from them all being exactly perfect, right? And then on the inside raw edge of the star, I did a simple whip stitch, which was really quick, right? And I did all of my handwork before I created the layers. Once my handwork was done and the appliques were stitched down, I created my layers and I did an echo quilting around the star and just a loose meandering in the background to help kind of raise up the applique a little bit off the background. So there is my primitive star block 5. Let's just take a look at the back. There you go. You can see that quilting really good on the back. I have a couple of little nuggets I have to clean up, but isn't she pretty? There we go. All right, so here's the progress of my All the Things. Here it is. So my first row is complete. I'm making mine with 4 blocks in each row, right? And there will be 1, 2, 3, 4 rows, right? So we're going to be working right down here. And what did I do? Oh, here we go. I was testing my camera settings. So I'm going to put my block 5 right here in this portion of the quilt, right there, like that. And I already have my fabrics picked out for today. Let me get this iron on and heating up. Plug her in. There we go. Let's see. I have this sort of golden fabric for the back. I'm using a Warm and Natural for the batting, and this is like a taupe color in real life. It might not show that on the screen. So let's get my iron warming up. I'm going to glue base these layers, and if y'all want to stick around to the end, or if you have to leave before we get there, I'll be showing a preview of block number 6 at the end of today's video. Okay? I think you're going to like it. You might have already seen it if you saw the very first video in this series where I did a flip through of all of the blocks. I'm just going to take my glue stick. We're going to glue base these layers before I fuse down the applique today. Y'all, you can do this block probably 1,000 different ways. I'm just showing you today one of those ways, but this is not the only way. So if what I do today is intimidating for you where you are, that's okay. Do it a different way. However, I encourage you, if you're interested in the way that I'm doing the block today, to give it a try, right? Try it at least once. You'll never know if you like doing it until you try it. If you try it once and you had fun with it, but it didn't turn out the way you wanted it to and you need more practice, then allow yourself that time and the grace to practice, right? All right, let's dry this glue so we can get busy. Sylvia says, love the gold color. I'd use that on the front. Well, I picked, it is pretty, isn't it? I have another one of these squares I might use later on, but I picked a fabric that kind of goes with the one I'm using on the front. It is pretty though, isn't it? We're just drying that glue, and we're going to allow it time to cool off just a little bit. It is pretty though, isn't it? This is what it's going to look like on the back. Not that many people ever look at the back, but the back is going to be just as pretty. There we go. We're going to allow that to cool off. So the way that I want to do my block number 5 is I'm just going to put it straight on, centered just like this, right? You could slant it a little bit if you wanted to. You could cut out 2 of these appliques and do them side by side. Wouldn't that be pretty, layered like that? There's a couple of different variations. But, okay, I don't know if you caught the Gnomes mug rug that we did just Wednesday night, I think it was. We did a little class on free motion quilting, right? Well, we're going to carry that on to today. I haven't done any free motion quilting or stitching down of my applique with this quilt yet. So I set up my machine and that's what we're going to do. I think I'll even do a little meander. I have not quilted really the entire background on any of my blocks yet. So we're going to do that today. I want this to cool off for a second, because I'm going to use a heat erasing pen just for a couple reasons, all right? So I'm going to just take a little ruler here, and this is a friction fine line heat erasing pen, right? It erases with the heat. What I want to do is mark my seam allowances. And I might have to do this again after I fuse the star in place. But I want to make sure that I'm not putting this star close to any parts that are going to get cut off with my sashings, right? So this just takes a minute. See that? There we go. Really fine, faint lines. That's just going to help me make sure that this star isn't too close to the top or too close to the bottom. We're going to put it right there and make sure that we're not cutting any of this off. Darn, you had a water pipe break. Goodness gracious. All right, we're going to take the paper off. And we're just going to, oops, I'm doing the wrong side. Oh, I did the wrong side. That's all right. I'll do it really quickly. We got to talking about how pretty that other color was. Really quickly, there we go. There we go. I almost stitched it on that other side. I would have left it too. All right, so there we go. Now we can just make sure nothing's gonna get cut off. A little bit lower. I think that looks really good, right? So let's fuse that in place. Sherry, send me a message, my dear. Send me a message. All right, we're just getting that applique fused right in place. Talking about orders, I have lots of quilting to do. I just quilted a t-shirt quilt yesterday. It was a butterfly panto that is just the cutest pantograph probably that I've seen. It is so dang cute. I'll post pictures once I get the binding on. It is so cute. And then today I'm quilting for Kathy. And then I have another quilt to quilt. Today's Friday, Saturday. Lots of quilting in the next couple of days. So let me just tell you why I want this to cool off and why I'm going to put those little marks back on. I want to do a meandering stitch in the background on this block. But because this block is so small, I want to stay away from the edges. All right, that's just me. You could quilt right on out to the edges, but I find it easier not to free motion quilt exactly to the edge on these smaller blocks. So when I'm free motion quilting, I just want to come close to, but not to the edge, right? Did you fuse the top and the bottom to the batting? I sure did. I glue basted it. All right, so we're just going to put these marks back on, Lisa. And these will stay on until after our block is quilted. So it seems like double the work, but it's kind of worth it, and it only takes a minute, right? I just find it easier to quilt up to these lines and not to the very edge. That's just me. All right, so let's talk about my machine real quick before we switch over there. I have the free motion foot on. Yours could be called a darning foot. And if your machine didn't come with one, you could search those two names. Quilting foot, machine quilting foot, open toe foot, darning foot. Those are some of the names that this foot goes by. In the bobbin, I have some gray bottom line thread. And in the top, I used a variated YLI thread, which should be pretty cool to use today. And I did not lower my feed dogs today, but I am using a straight stitch with the stitch length set to 0. Okay? So what I thought I would do is just do a simple free motion straight stitch right inside the applique today. Or maybe like a little wiggle around the star. And then fill in the background with a very, very small meandering stitch. So that sounds fun. That's what we're doing today. Let's switch on over to the sewing machine. There we go. And I gotta move my stool. There we go. All right. So we are all set up. A straight stitch set to 0 length. And I'm going to come right inside. Let's start over here. Right inside there like that. See that? We're going to bring that bottom thread right to the top. And it's going to be hard to see because it's very, very thin. I think bottom line is like a 60 weight. And we're going to put that needle right back down in the same hole. I'm going to take a couple of little tiny stitches before we trim these threads. All right, and so let's do a little wiggle around the edge of the star. I feel a little wiggly today, so let's just do that in stitch form. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be anything but a little wiggle, right? And I think that'll add a cool little texture. So just back and forth, back and forth. Let's cut off these little threads. Can you see that? Back and forth, back and forth. A little wiggle. Now what you might find helpful, and I'm going to go ahead and put it on because I have a little bit better control, is using a little quilting glove, right? See, and this variated thread goes from light to dark, back to light. This is a super fast way to stitch down your applique. See that? And it doesn't have to be perfect, and it looks perfect because you didn't make it look perfect. See, we're almost done. And we started right there. I'm just going to meet that line. And then it curves right back, right outside that star. I'm just going to travel right there without breaking thread. We're going to start quilting the background. There we go. I didn't have to knot that off, tie it off, any of that stuff. I just traveled right in that stitch, moved to the edge, and now we can do just a small little meandering. I'm going to put on another glove. How about that? This block is a little, a little small. See, when I get close to the edge, when I come right along the edge with this foot, the foot tends to sometimes grab it and pull it back in. That's the reason why I like to stay away from the edge if at all possible. And one other thing that I wanted to say about stitching and quilting the background with a filler like this is if you like a softer quilt, a flowier quilt, the less quilting you do in the backgrounds, the softer it'll flow and drape, right? This block is going to be predominantly a bit stiffer because of all of the quilting I'm going to do in the background. And all a meandering really is just a squiggle, just scribbling back and forth, little wiggles until you fill in that space. I really feel like I do my best meandering with music. I think if Sheila were here, she could sing while I quilted, and that would give me some rhythm. Sheila? I really like the variated thread. Just scribbling, scribbling, scribbling. And we're getting close to being done. When I finish, I'm going to just bring the thread right beyond that 1/4 inch, and that'll tie it off when I sew my my sashing, right? So I'm just going to bring that thread right beyond that line that we created. I will cut it because that knot's going to be in the sashing, and there we go. The light is really good over here, so I'm going to just leave it there for a second. Ooh, Paula got a new sewing machine. Ooh. There we go. So don't you really kind of like that little squiggly applique stitch for the star? It's really cute, right? And look how fast we did this block, y'all. You could do this method with each and every one of your blocks. You sure could. Let me move back over here. It hasn't even been 30 minutes yet. We're already done. There we go. So let me heat up this iron. We'll get rid of those marks. What is in the middle of your star? So those are little mushrooms. One of the fabric lines that I'm using, this fabric and this fabric and this fabric and this star fabric, is Hidden Canyon. I think it's Robert Kaufman. I don't know. I put the information in the description box, but I had a fat quarter bundle, and the name of the bundle was called Hidden Canyon. So there's little animals and flowers. This yellow fabric had little mushrooms and grass. But it was the only yellow fabric in that fabric line. So that's what we're using. Paula said, I remember Lisa saying she used just 5 stitches out of the available stitches on her machine. So I made a rag quilt this week, and I used different stitches on each block for all the X's. That is awesome, Paula. And not only that, now you have like a record of all your stitches stitched out so you could like see what they do, right? Sherry said, what's the wool on your big star from the bundle I sent you? This is actually flannel. This is a flannel, and is that one of the ones that I ordered? I cannot remember. I think it was, because I ordered some flannel from you, didn't I? I don't know. What I did do is put the flannel bundle in the description box too, so we could double check it. But I don't know. I'm forgetting now, Sherry. I only have small amounts of wool. So I'm using that sparingly. But this flannel is awesome. And I'm going to tell you, I've been using flannel a lot in my applique because it's just so soft, and because I like to touch, and it adds just that different texture. I've been really enjoying using the flannel. So there we go. I think my iron is heated up. Let's get rid of those little 1/4 inch marks. And those are disappeared now. And let's just take a preview of how this is going to look. Hold on, let me show you the back. Isn't that cool? That's a gray thread. It just kind of blends right in there, right? You just see the texture of the quilting. And then there's the quilting from the front. And if we just slide this up under and pretend that it's sewn down, there we go. That's how she's going to look. Isn't she cute? And that's super fast, y'all. Super fast. And I really feel like, even if you're super beginner, that the wiggly stitches, you can do that. You can certainly do that. It would take more effort to do a straight stitch free motion and trying to stay straight along the inside edge. That would take a little bit more practice, right? This, you're just doing wiggly, wiggly, wigglies, and it doesn't matter if they're not all the same. So if you want to try free motion, and maybe you watched the no mug rug, and you're like, that's a little bit beyond where I am, try it this way, where it doesn't have to be so precise. And I think you'll have a lot of fun. Wanda, the strips. Okay, so in my video where I showed how I like to join my quilt as you go, I used a 1-inch strip for both the back and the front. Okay, but for this quilt, I'm using flannel for my sashing. And it's a super duper thick flannel too. I didn't realize how thick it was until I cut a bunch of sashing strips. And this flannel is even thicker than the flannel I used here. It's really thick. And I was struggling to fold over the edge. So you might find this easier anyway. I used a 1-inch strip on the back. And for the sashing pieces on the front, I cut at 1.5 inches. And that gave me a little bit more leeway to play with to fold over that top. So you might want to try it that way too. Jackie, right? The little wiggles are adorable. Ah, Davy has a good idea too. She said if you're really sure your pins will erase, you can also trace your stitches before you quilt too. That's what I've tried. That's a good suggestion. That's a great tip. That's one of the reasons why I love doing the lives, y'all. Y'all share all kinds of stuff with each other, and I love that. So there she is. There's block 5. It's been 30 minutes. So if you're like, I really want to do the all the things quilt, but I'm just so swamped for time. We did that pretty quick, right? You could do that to all of your blocks. Paula says, would it be very off if I cut my blocks 5.5 and the backing 7.5 for self-binding? No, so if you want the top to be a little bit bigger, all that's going to change is your applique is going to look a little bit smaller on the front of your block, and that's fine, right? You could, if you're a little tech savvy, play with your print settings to increase the size of your print, right? You could do that, but if you didn't want to do that, you just wanted to make the top a 1/2 inch bigger on all sides, the only thing that's going to really change is your applique is going to look a little smaller, right? I'm wondering whether your reference to flannel is what we here in Europe call felt. Felt is usually found in plain colors and is almost matted in its feel. You're thinking of wool. But there's all kinds of felt too, right? There's wool felt, there's synthetic felts, there's wool blend felts. This here is like a flannel. Like if you were to make a men's shirt, a flannel men's shirt. This is kind of like that, right? Or if you took a men's flannel shirt and you cut it apart to use it for fabric bits. That is like what this is. It is much, much thinner than wool, felt, and the edges do fray. So wool, your edges don't fray. That's an advantage of the wool applique is that your edges don't fray. Flannel frays like the dickens, okay? It does. So that's a big difference as well. All right, so I guess we can, oh yeah, y'all saw it. There we go. That's block 6. I didn't mean to pull it over yet. But there we go. We're doing the dragonfly next week. We're doing the dragonfly. Trinita, you can make your blocks any size you want to. Paula says they may call it flannelettes, like they do in Canada. I might have said that wrong. I might have said that wrong. Yep, it's your quilt. You can make your blocks any size you want to. The dragonfly. So I'm in the mid stages of planning the bigger block. And in the bigger blocks, I like to include something extra, right? And so I'm on the fence. Maybe y'all can help me make up my mind since I'm still working on it. The bigger block, I have like a lily up here in the corner. Or a saying on it. I don't want to say the saying yet because I might save that for a block down the road. I don't know. But either a lily or a saying. What do y'all think? Wanda, I did see your gnome. You did really good. You did really good. Wanda says she likes the words. Sherry votes Lily. Cheryl says Lily. Dara, you're printing out the blocks to do with your to-do projects. I'm so glad you looked like you were feeling so much better the other day. I'm so glad. Can you do both? Well, Miss Wanda, I would love to do both, but I feel like it would take you forever. It would take me forever to do the one block. So I feel like it might be overload if I did both. It might be a little overload. But I do think, because this was so easy, that next week I might do the same thing with my applique pieces. I might. They're a little bit smaller pieces, right? Think of all the ways that you could get creative with this, though, right? You have the little stream where he's been flying and swirling around. You could do that by hand. You could do it with a fabric marker. You could do it on your sewing machine, which I might do. We'll see. You could use beads for the dragonfly's head. All kinds of stuff. I don't want to say the words out loud because I might save them for a block down the road, and I want it to be a surprise. Ooh, Wanda has a sparkly fabric that would be sweet for the dragonfly. Well, I can't wait to see it. And I would tell you what, if you're on Creative Crew and if you've strollen through our page in the last couple of days, you will see all the things blocks, right? And y'all are doing such a good job on them. Sheila said a dragonfly just flew by my window. We have a lot of them. I think we have some bushes along the front side of the house that really attracts them. So there we go. Do y'all have any big plans for this weekend? I am working. And then the quilt retreat on Sunday. But I've got lots of quilting to do, y'all. Teresa, you free motioned this one. Good job. Danielle said they eat mosquitoes. You know, I haven't seen that many mosquitoes this year. That might be why. Valerie, you're hanging out with the grandkids this weekend. That's awesome. So there we go. Block 6 next week. So you'll be able to get this PDF and get your stuff ready Thursday. Thursday morning, I usually post the thumbnail and the pattern pieces here on YouTube, right? So you can come Thursday and grab your PDF for this block next Thursday. Wanda said, what do you work on while quilting? Well, designing the next block. I'll be putting a binding on my t-shirt quilt while Kathy's quilt is quilting. We've been working on, look, I don't know if y'all see that or not. Joyce, do you see that? I know you're on my list of people to contact. And I don't know if Rhonda's here or not. She's on my list. You see that behind me? I've been sewing leader strips for the frames that Harlan made. So I'll be working on that. And different things, different days while I'm quilting. Oh, you know what? Awesome. Teresa said free motion. Not as scary as I thought it would be. That is the best feedback. That is the best feedback I've had all day. All week. Actually, since the gnome video. Not as scary as I thought it would be. I'm so glad you tried it. I am so glad you tried it. I find for me, if I put on some music I'm a music person anyway. If I put on some music and just sort of chill out and have fun and relax while doing it, I enjoy it a lot. So that might be different for you, but yeah, I'm glad you tried it. Oh, Joyce is here. She said, I'm excited. Good. I will keep you updated. We had to order some bubble wrap. We had to order some poly mailers that were big enough for these packages, for the frames to fit in it. So all that came yesterday. It all came yesterday. It's been a process. But I would tell you what, Harlan has had so much fun. He it's given him a reason to buy a table saw. Well, he had one. He bought a different one. And a router. So he's had the most fun this week. Let me just tell you. It's been like Christmas for him this week. And then he comes up, he's like, look how much better these pieces are now. I'm like, they are better. They're a lot better since he upgraded his tools. Beverly just went shopping. I'm glad to hear that. That means you're feeling better. Spent way too much money. I know if you're buying groceries, you did. Or if you're buying gas in your car, you did, right? Kathy said, my machine has speed control and I do better at a very slow speed. That makes sense. Yeah. Mine has a little dial like turtle to rabbit and you can adjust it, especially until you get the use of using your foot pedal, right? And using that adjustment really does help. Janita, I did see your video. Yes, ma'am. Miss Sylvia, I'll be praying for your sister. Oh no, Danielle says my dog steps on my foot pedal while I'm sewing. Danielle, weren't you the one who shared a picture of your sewing machine you got around Easter time? Wasn't that you who shared your, you said your BFF? I think that was you, Danielle. That machine is nice. I'm excited for you. That's a nice machine. I hope you're having so much fun with it. Joyce said, I have found with free motion, the best thing is to relax and let it happen. After a while, you won't even see the oopsies. I totally agree, Joyce. I absolutely agree. And here's the thing, if you've got, you got your finished quilt all over and you stand back, you don't see all those things. You just don't see them. And if you wash your quilt after, you certainly don't see them after that, right? Hello, Elaine. You're coming in right as we're ending, so you'll have to come back on the replay. But this went by really fast. I'm surprised at how fast it went. We've just been chit-chatting for like 10 minutes because that's how fast this went. So I hope you have a fantastic weekend. I was trying to rack my brain of anything else coming up next week, but I think it's going to be a quiet week until next Friday. So here are the dates. July the 1st. Holy cow. July the 1st already. Next Friday. Block number 6, the Dragonfly. And then the dates for the following 3. The only one that's not on a Friday, you'll see the little asterisk. That's the 18th. That's on a Monday. Wanda gets to go do some shopping at Joann's. Do you have any idea of what you might get? I have a list going of things when I go there next of things to get. also have a Dollar Tree list that I think I'm going to go to the Dollar Tree this afternoon. I think I am. Fabric and heat erasing pen. I'm going to tell you what, I don't know what I did before heat erasing pens. I use them almost every day. The 7th is a Thursday. Is it really? Oh, hold on a second. I might have to change that date. I'm glad you said something. Hold on 1 second. It is a Thursday. Let me change that. Thank you for saying that. Let's change those dates. Block 7 is actually the 8th. There we go. Thank you so much. I'm glad you double checked that. I don't know why I put the 7th on there. Thank you so much. Oh, wouldn't that be something? A $40,000 gift certificate. How much fun would that be? That would be a lot of fun. Oh, Danielle, you're going to make a small ironing board. I'm going to tell you what, I love mine. I can move it around, right? And I have my cordless iron on a rolling cart. And one of the reasons why I put it on the rolling cart is sometimes I work here on this table that you see me on, but sometimes I work on this table back here, right? And so I can roll the cart back and forth, and I can move my pressing board to wherever I'm working. Cheryl, did you see my tattoo? Did you see it? If you blinked, you missed it. Oh, Jackie, you're going to go have a procedure done. Well, we'll be praying for you. Most definitely. Keep us updated on that. I would tell you, Danielle, I'm really pleased with my mini iron. Okay, so I've used it, a couple weeks now, right? So my only complaint, and I just like being real with y'all and giving you honest reviews, right? It heats up super hot. I love that. Of course, it has all the different adjustments for temp. I'm a person who loves steam in my iron. Not everybody does. But for a cordless iron, if you want steam, it gives you a lot of steam. And you can press for quite a few seconds before you have to put it on the charger. So that's awesome. My only complaint is that it's when you're seating it back down in the carriage, you have to make sure that you're actually putting it all the way down. Sometimes I'm in a hurry, right? I'm busy and I'm moving. It's happened while we're live that I set it down and I think it's seated right, but it's not. And so it's not heating back up. And when I go to pick it up and use it, it's not heated back up, right? So my only complaint is that seating it back down, I have to double check to make sure that it's charging or heating up. That's my only complaint so far. I don't know if that's how all cordless irons are or if it's just this one. Yes, we'll definitely be praying for you. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm glad to hear it was a small procedure, right? You'll have to keep us updated. All right, everybody. I am off to go load a quilt on the long arm. And to make up my mind, I'm going to scroll through to see what the tallies were for Lily or words. I'll count it up. And that'll help me make up my mind what we're doing for the large version of the dragonfly block. And in the meantime, if you follow me on Facebook, when I stitch it out, I'll share a picture with you. You'll get like a preview. All the ways to get in touch with me are down in the description box. My Facebook page is down there. You can follow me there. I do have an Instagram, y'all, and a couple of people have messaged me on Instagram, but I just don't use it that much. I'm not that proficient with the Instagrams. Even though I have a page or an account, I hardly ever use it. So if you really want to get in touch with me and you don't do Facebook, send me a message on Etsy. There's a link in the box as well for that, right? Y'all know how to get in touch with me. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. Keep posting your pictures. Here's the thing, y'all, and I feel really bad about it. So I like to say this a lot. I see each and every one of your posts. I saw that Jerry just finished painting her stained glass. That was like a mystery quilt. Remember that? She just finished that. I've seen your no mug rugs. I've seen all of your blocks that you've done. I saw pictures of someone's craft room. Talk about an awesome sewing craft room. That was awesome. I've seen pictures of recently finished hummingbird quilts. I've seen Brenda's horse carousel quilt. That was awesome. I've seen all y'all's stuff. So I see everything. My problem is I don't have the time to sit on Facebook all day and comment the things that I want to say to you. And what I want to say is that you are doing so good. If no one else on this earth is proud of you, know that I am. And if you have questions about anything, is there a great place to go for help? If you need some encouragement, Creative Crew is the place to be. But yeah, just know that I see all your stuff. I wish I had the time to comment on everything. I just don't. And so as a people pleaser, I feel like if I were just to comment on Jerry's painted quilt and not on everybody else's, that I would be hurting everybody else's feelings. If I just commented on Brenda's quilt and not anybody else's, I would feel bad. So sometimes for me, it's easier to not comment at all and just say, I see all your stuff and you're doing so good. You're doing so, so good. All right, everybody. Have a fantastic weekend. I can't wait to see you next Friday, but guess what? You blink an eye and we're in July already. This year is just flying by, and I think it's nuts how fast the weeks are going by. I'll see y'all soon, okay? Bye, everybody. I'm off to go load this quilt. Bye.